Selecting a video card that has power, performance, reliability, and looks good doesn't necessarily have to break your bank. Welcome back to DIY Garage. I'm your host, Carey Holzman. Joining us today, one of my favorite guests, it's JJ from Asus. Welcome back, JJ.
Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being here, and I always like you always bring all the cool toys. What are we looking at today?
We're looking actually at our latest series of graphics cards, the Dual Series. So pretty much for the most of you, you've never heard of the Dual Series from Asus because it's an entirely new line for us. Now, we previously talked about our highest performing line of graphics cards, which are our Strix series. So that covers everything from, I'd say, the performance mid-range, like the GTX 1060 and RX 480, all the way up to the 1080. Right. With the Dual Series, we're bringing the cost down a little bit where we're not compromising on cooling and quiet, and even overall clock performance, as well as overall build quality, but we are removing some of the more specialized features that we see on the Strix cards, so we're bringing down the price point to be able to offer to more gamers.
So you still can get the 1060, 1070.
Correct. RX 480 as well.
Now, when you say dual, you have to get two of them?
No, the name really came from the fact that we are utilizing a two-fan based system on this graphics card.
I see.
Whereas with the Strix, we're not calling it the triple, but it's utilizing three fans that are utilized there. But really what this offers us is that the core value always with Asus graphics cards is to be able to provide a cooler, quieter, and faster experience. So with two fans, for one, there are optimized static pressure, optimized fans that are utilizing our wing blade design, which is patented, which means that they are downward firing. That works in conjunction with the finned heatsink assembly, and then our heat pipes, so our direct contact copper heat pipes, which make contact with the GPU to really be able to effectively cool the graphics card. So when you have that all working in conjunction, you're going to get low operating temperatures, generally quite a bit lower than what you're going to see with reference card designs, which utilize only a single fan that has to rotate at a much faster speed. So not only do you get an increase in temperatures on reference cards, but they're also noisier. So here with the dual fan design, we're getting the quieter and the cooler experience. And it also allows us to have more flexibility in terms of maybe having out-of-the-box clock speeds. With this card, you're going to see that it's actually an OC model. So that means that beyond the improvement that we're going to get with the card operating cooler and being able to more aggressively ramp up its clock speeds, you can also get an overclocked edition of it.
Well, I want to go back to the way the card looks for a minute. The white accents on it. Why? Because the Strix line was all black.
Yeah, it's all monochromatic. Here we're going with an entirely different aesthetic, and part of the goal was to be able to offer just another choice to the PC DIYers out there. Builders have started to see kind of a new trend in terms of wanting, I think, kind of these minimalistic, clean, white-oriented builds. And we kind of really set this on trend with the release of a number of different motherboards. Take, for instance, like here with our Z170 series of boards that come in white. And so we've offered this now for a couple of generations, both in the mainstream as well as in the high-end, like our X99 series, and even with our Tough series boards where we have S versions that are all white PCB. And we've worked with partners to be able to see things that are released like, of course, a white chassis, white power supplies, white cabling. And so being able to have a graphics card that is white in terms of its overall aesthetic really works to be able to complement the look and feel of these systems.
I love the idea that it's so easy now to make a computer look good by just pairing up these parts together. And of course, you don't have to buy an Asus motherboard with an Asus graphics card.
Of course,
but if you do, look how good that looks together.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, we used to have to sort of do all this manually and get the
You might have to
spray
mod
paint
it,
out.
you might have to do different things. Yeah, here it's just a much more seamless experience. You can pair it up. You can go a nice Z170A board, you can throw in a GTX 1060, and not only are you going to get great performance and great features, but it's going to look good.
It's going to look good while it's doing it. So let's talk about the performance a little bit. So on the performance side of this, you know, it's got two fans instead of three. You're saying it's not going to run hotter.
You're always going to get a cooler experience compared to the reference-based designs, depending, of course, on the GPU, because we're talking everything, you know, from 1060 to 1070 to a 480. You could be talking, I'd say, on average, 10 degrees cooler than the reference design. In some cases, it can even be more than that. So you're getting a pretty substantial reduction in terms of the core temperatures.
Now, you say this is the OC version that we're looking at. It's pre-overclocked, but you can still overclock it beyond that.
Yep, that's very easy to do.
And if it's not an OC version, if it's one of the other models, you can still overclock that too.
Correct, no restrictions. So if you're looking at a dual card and you want to be able to overclock it, you can, of course, go into our GPU tweak utility and be able to do that very easily, either through a preset or through manually tuning it, or you can buy the overclocked edition.
Now, one of the things that Asus is very well known for is their reliability. And I want you to tell us a little bit about the manufacturing process in this and how this gives a realistic expectation of the kind of reliability we can expect from Asus.
Sure.
How you guys do it? What's the about the secret sauce.
The secret sauce, well, the secret sauce comes in something I think a lot of people find interesting, which is going to be robotics. We actually are the first to implement an industry-wide production process that uses surface mount technology. So we've removed essentially humans from the production of our graphics cards. It's all done through a fully automated process, so everything from the PCB being laid down to the GPU to the surface mount components like the capacitors, inductors, all that gets done through precise, reliable, and consistent machinery that we can validate as well through a computerized system where we can laser scan everything and make sure that we're giving you a card that has ultimately a higher level of reliability and durability because of the improved precision and accuracy in the placement of those components.
Well, sure, humans have distractions.
Yeah,
Mistakes can happen. So you have an assembly line, entire assembly process.
Yep.
All robotic.
All fully automated.
So everything comes out exactly the same.
Yep, and we call it our Auto Extreme because it helps us to maximize the performance of whatever graphics cards we're producing. It's an awesome process and helps us to fully realize whatever GPU and whatever series we're making, you're going to be able to get that advanced production process to be able to give you a better graphics card.
That explains the consistency and the reliability.
Yep, and that's also ties into our power componentry. So we continue to use, of course, premium quality components. So you have fully solid state capacitors. We're using fully molded inductors. This is important because some people are concerned sometimes about coil whine. So this helps to mitigate or reduce the elements of coil whine because you have a fully sealed inductor. We also use very good power stages, or what are referred to as MOSFETs and drivers. So all the way around, when you talk about that, the VRM solution that's in place is going to make sure to be able to enable a stable and reliable experience regardless if you're going to be stock or overclock. Also ties into that overall message of reliability and durability across the long term.
You guys address what could be a problem for some people who are into VR. Seems like all the VR headsets, they're all HDMI, but all the video cards that come out, not all of them obviously, only give you one HDMI output, and they're giving you the rest in DisplayPort. So what happens if you have two VR headsets?
So we looked at that, and what we did for this generation is we have essentially what we call our VR-friendly design. So all of the cards feature multiple display out connectivity, so if you want to run multiple monitors, you want to be able to run 4K, surround, all that stuff, you're of course covered. But we have dual HDMI ports that are on these cards, so that way you can go ahead and connect your HDMI-enabled monitor while also connecting your VR headset.
Or two VR headsets.
Yeah, exactly. So the choice is up
Think
to
big.
you. The choice is ultimately about giving you the flexibility by giving you this level of connections on our cards.
And again, the overclocking is the same, using the same GPU tweak.
Yep, correctly. It's all executed through our GPU Tweak utility, so you can just install it. You'll be able to go ahead and monitor, manage the graphics card, so you can see everything from your temperatures to your voltage to your clock speeds. You have quick one-touch profiles, so that if you want to be able to quickly enable overclocking, or you want to do power saving modes, you can do all that. You can customize the fan speeds, of course, all the manual parameters in terms of voltages and clock speeds. And there's also a tie-in to our XSplit software, which we also bundle with the card, which works with GPU Tweak. So if you're streaming out to Twitch or YouTube gaming and you want to be able to quickly change into a different operating speed to get better performance in the game, you can also do that through GPU Tweak.
So who's the ideal candidate who'd be looking at the dual series of graphics cards?
I think it's ultimately users that want a great card in terms they want it to be cooler, quieter, and faster, but they don't necessarily need or want some of the more premium features that we're going to offer on our Strix series. So if they're looking for the absolute best thermal performance, the most overclocking margin, they want RGB lighting, they want premium connectivity in terms of fan connections and things like that, they're going to want to look at our Strix cards. But if you just want a great build quality card that's cool, quiet, and fast, and can still be overclocked,
And it
and
looks
happens
great.
to look great, right? And it has this white aesthetic, the dual series is going to be a great choice.
Well, very good. Thank you so much, JJ, for coming in today and telling us all about the dual series of graphics cards from Asus. Really appreciate that.
Not a problem. As always, it's been awesome to be able to bring this product out there for Newegg TV and be able to tell you guys about what we're working on.
That's going to wrap up this episode of DIY Garage. And if you enjoyed it, please let us know by clicking like and subscribe. For Newegg TV and DIY Garage, I'm Carey Holzman, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.